Hello everyone, welcome to our second practice session for MCQ UGC NET and GATE. This is your mentor, educator, Vaishali Yadav, and welcome to Psychohub Institute of Psychology and Wellness. I hope you are doing well and preparing well for your exam as it will be soon in 1.5 months. So let's begin. This is the quote for today. There is hope even when your brain tell you there isn't. Right? So we are launching one of our sessions for practicing MCQ from 15 to 30 December, as we are hoping that the exam will be happen in 1st to 5th January maximally. And this was covered by in the 15 days, including all the MCQs plus the PYQs. We try to cover it 100 questions per unit, and there will be a Sunday class also for major doubt clearing sessions by all the three educators, including me, Himanshi, and Swati. You can contact our team for further clarifications and enrolling yourself. Let's begin. So, our question is, in Freud theory, what is the aim of an instinct? The option says the energy that drives the instinct, the object through which satisfaction is achieved, the goal or purpose towards which the instinct strives, the source of the psychic energy. So, it is the aim of an instinct. So, the answer is C, the goal or purpose towards which the instincts arise. Right? In the Freud instinctive theory, what happens? There is four characteristics of the instinct. The one is aim, the other is impetus, the third one is your object and the source. So what happens? In the aim, it is the goal or the purpose towards which the instinctive is strives towards, and then comes the hunger being reduced by eating, right? For example, and the impetus is basically the force of it and object, which is the satisfy. So when if you see the options, you will see the energy that drive the instincts is your energy. It is the impetus. The object through which the satisfaction is, so this is the object, and this is the source of psychic energy. So the energy that drives the instincts is your impetus. Let's move to our next question. So, which theories of personality are considered third force movement in the contemporary psychology? Option A, psychoanalysis. Behavioralism. Option second is behavioralism or behavioristic. Option third, humanistic and existential. And option fourth is cognitive. So, which theory of personality is considered the third force? We have to tackle about third force. This is your humanistic. The psychoanalysis one is your first force of energy, first force in psychology, and the behaviorism your second force in psychology, right? So the third force movement is referred in the psychology as the humanistic psychology, often grouped with existential psychology. The first force was psychoanalysis, second force I told you is behavioralism, and the third emerging as the free will, subjective experiences, and the search for meaning. Pioneers are Abraham Maslow, Rogers, and Rolome for existential therapy and existential psychology. This all are considered into your humanistic ones. So when it comes to humanistic, the who are the major proponents? Your Maslow, Rogers, Carl Rogers, and your Rolome, right? Cognitive psychology is sometimes referred to as forceful, but it's not really mandated that it is a forceful. Sometimes we transfer called transpersonal psychology as the fourth force. Let's move to our next question. Arrange the following modes of existence as described in existential psychology, starting from the most concrete physical to the most abstract spiritual. So we have to arrange them. The first point is Eigenwelt or the personal or self world. Second is Uberwelt, spiritual transcendent world. Third is Umwelt, physical world. Fourth is Mitwelt, social relation world. So when you are going to arrange it, you will see the first. What is the first one to become? The first one is the physical world. So this will going to be your first one. Then comes your midworld, social and relation world. Uh, right? So it will be second one. Then comes your I general, your personal world, and last में your spiritual and transcendental overworld world. So the option will be your C, D, A, B. C, D, A, B. So it will be first. So the answer is C, D, A, B. So what we understand by umwelt? Umwelt is the relationship with, as the word suggests, na, physical. So physical is the nature with your the material or the natural world. The middle world talks about the social world. So after the physical world, the individual move towards the social world, and this is the relationship with other people and the social meaning. So basically, now we are moving towards like from the inner to the outer. Then the ideal world means self world. The self world is the relationship with oneself, meaning internal moving, self awareness, and authenticity. Then comes the overworld, the transcendent world, something which is spiritual, something which is ultimate, meaning the relationship with the unknown. The order direct projection from tangible physical existence say we are moving towards our personal and self. So we are moving something our physical world, our environment, like physical, then your social, then we come towards your inner world, personal world, then we comes towards our most inner world, the spiritual ones, right? Next question. Which philosopher emphasized the concept of will to power, and personal responsibility, asserting that individuals should challenge traditional morality and meaning as fundamental to existential thought? So, who gave will to power and personal responsibility, asserting the individual should challenge traditional morality and meaning as fundamental to existential thought? Option R: Soren Kierkegaard, Friedrich Nietzsche, Jean-Paul Sartre, Martin Heidegger. So this was given by your Friedrich Nietzsche. So what did he said? He said that he expanded basically your existential philosophy. So the concept of existential philosophy and the existential psychological philosophy was given by him, and he talks about the concept of will to power. Right, which basically, let's look at the explanation, and then it talks about, yes, the nations talks about existential philosophy by introducing ideas such as will to power, which highlights the individual's drive to assert meaning in life. So this is basically the individual's drive to assert meaning into something, and the necessity of personal responsibility to question traditional morality. Kierkegaard, though foundational to existentialism, the other options emphasize personal conviction and wisdom rather than to willpower. Right. Let's move to our next question. Who among the following is most closely associated with advocating the concept of dualism? Dualism in Western philosophy. So, who is the one? The options are Spinoza, René Descartes, William James, George Berkeley. So, this was given by the dualism in Western philosophy was given by René Descartes. He talks about the concept of dualism, means your body and soul will be two. और अगर हम if we are talking about from Indian psychological perspective, तो क्या हो जाएगा dualism? Indian psychological perspective से अगर हम जाएंगे तो dualism will be come into your Samakhya philosophy, and this will be the part of your uh, this Purush and Prakriti. Purush and Prakriti. Okay, so yes, this is the right answer. René Descartes. The explanation says René Descartes is considered with the doctrine of substance dualism, which holds that mind and body are fundamentally distinct substances. Spinoza and James are more closely associated with monism, means body and your mind will be one, right? They are one in nature. While Berkeley was idealist, basically mental monism. Mental monism basically it's a talk about that there is not a monoism in body and mind, it's just our thought of it. Let's move to next question. Assertion and reason. So it talks about, according to Thomas Kuhn, a scientific revolution is marked by a shift to a fundamentally different paradigm, which cannot be fully explained by extending previous theories. Reason. Kuhn argued that new paradigms emerge only when researchers can rationally resolve all anomaly within the old paradigm. So, is the assertion is true? What is said? Kuhn said a scientific revolution is marked by a shift to a fundamentally different paradigm. Basically, scientific revolution do come from the fundamentally different paradigm which cannot be fully explained by extended previous theory. Basically, if we try to explain a new kind of paradigm, a new kind of framework of belief, then it cannot be happened because of the previous theories given by other authors and other psychologists can expand it. No, we have to make the whole complete shift into it. This is what exactly Kuhan talks about when he gives the concept of your explain the scientific revolution and the paradigms, and talks about how coignism and behavioralism come in picture, right? For the reason, Kuhn argued that new paradigms emerge only when new researcher can rationally resolve all inequality within the open. And this is possible? No. He did not talk about that. That new paradigm will only emerge when we resolve the all inequality of the old paradigm. Old framework को resolve करने के बाद ही new framework बनेगा, ऐसा उसने कुछ नहीं कहा था. Right? So this will be true and false. So this will be your C. Right? Okay. So Kuhn's idea of scientific revolution or the paradigm shift means a radical overhaul. New paradigm is incommensurable. It is not directly comparable with the previous one. We can't compare it because it's completely new. Paradigm shifts are often triggered because persistent anomaly cannot be rationally resolved. Resolve तो हो ही नहीं पा रही. जब कोई the old ones, if we can't able to resolve the previous anomalies, that's why we need to move into a new paradigm. Right, we are moving on to the new paradigm because हमसे last वाला solve नहीं हुआ है, उसकी anomaly बहुत ज्यादा high थी. Right. New paradigms are adopted because the old cannot be fully explained, all data, not because the anomaly are rationally resolved. इसीलिए the R is false because we cannot move because of your anomaly is resolved. We move because the anomaly is very high. Next question. Which type of human experience is described by existential phenomenology? Subjective, sensory, objective, all of this. Existential phenomenology. This will be your subjective, subjective in nature. Existential something and the phenomenology. And basically, the human experience is described in existential comes into your subjective, something which you can subjectively talk about. It's not come into objective or sensory part. So it explanation says existential phenomenology is primarily concerned with subjective human experience and how individuals perceive, interpret, give meaning to their existence. है ना? Because this is talking about existentials only, viewed from the first person perspective, rather than focusing on external objective, fact, or purely sensory experiences. So, existential phenomenology emphasizes on the living experience. Because of the lived experience and because of this situation, they are talking about subjective, right? So, this will not be objective or this will not be your sensory. Next question. Which among the following are parts of Patanjali Raj? So, we have to mark who are the parts for Patanjali Raj Yoga. Patanjali Raj Yoga, the points are Yama, Niyama, Sanyama, Pratyahara. The code says first and second, only third, Sanyama, once second and fourth, and all of the above. So if you see the Patanjali Raj Yoga, so Patanjali Raj Yoga or the Patanjali Ashtang Yoga, Patanjali Raj Yoga, these are all your 8 limbs of yogas given by Patanjali, 8 limbs of yoga. And the 8 limbs of yoga include your Yama, Niyama, and your Pratyahara. So Sanyama is not is a part of the 8 limb yoga or Ashtanga yoga. So this will be your C, right? So in the 8 limbs, what exactly comes? In the eight limbs comes your yama, your niyama, then comes your pratyahara. यमा नियमा आसन आएगा ना पहले. Then comes your asana, asan or asana. Then comes your pratyahara. Right after pratyahara, there is one more, na? Your pra- pranayama, and then your dharana, then dhyana, and then last May it is samadhi. So in Ashtanga Yoga in Patanjali Raj Yoga, this is the main yama, niyama, pratyahara is there, sanyama is not there. But sanyama we can say in the Yoga Sutra. Sanyama is a part of your Yoga Sutra or Yoga Sutra. Right, right. So for the Patanjali Ashtanga Yoga, you can see the eight limbs are your yam, niyama, asan, pranayam, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. But your sanyama is basically the part or the technical term in Yoga Sutra, integrating the practice of the three limbs, the last three limbs, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Dharan, concentration, dhyana, meditation, dhyan lagana, and the samadhi is basically absorption. So sanyama is not a limb in the Patanjali Yoga, but sanyama is a part of Yoga Sutra, and it is your last three terminologies, but this is not an official terminology in or basically the given by your Patanjali, right? So it is different. Next question. The word Samakhya in Indian philosophical practice means, we just talk about it, union of mind and body, knowledge of reality, knowledge of self and universe. Samakhya means. Samakhya in Indian philosophy practice means. Samakhya philosophy we talk about, we know Samakhya philosophy, union of mind and body तो नहीं होगा, this will be your monoism का part. Right, and monoism in Indian philosophy it is your Advait Vedanta. This will be your Advait Vedanta, है ना? So knowledge of reality. Yes, this is it. Samakhya is knowledge of reality because it talks about parts of two parts of your mind and body in the process of Purush and Prakriti. Okay. Yes, the Samakhya in Indian philosophy derived from the Sanskrit root means enumerate या फिर to count. Still contextually अगर we are talking about, so they are means helping seekers gain correct knowledge यानी कि or the knowledge of reality. It is talking about the knowledge of the correct knowledge. No, Samakhya is a dualistic philosophy that provides an analysis of fundamental principle of reality between the Purush and the Prakriti. Right? Let's move on to next question. Which among the following is a basic belief system and theoretical framework for our understanding of reality? Basic belief system. We are talking asking about belief system and theoretical framework. Ontology, epistemology, methodology, or paradigm. This is basic belief system, and we are asked about framework. So the belief system and framework is paradigm. This is the paradigm. This is exactly the paradigm talks about, right? But in ontology, it will be the reality. Epistemology, it is your how the reality is seen. The methodology is how we can process the reality, right? So this is all the three talks about the reality and the knowledge of reality, right? But this is your belief system, your belief or your framework of knowledge. So a paradigm is the overview basic belief system or theoretical form. It shapes how we understand reality and approach. It guides what is accepted as legitimate problem solution and methods. Paradigm encompass assumptions about ontology, the nature of reality, epistemology, the nature of knowledge, and methodology, the process of acquiring knowledge. So they are about reality and knowledge, and basically the main the main point in the ontology, epistemology, and methodology all talks about the realitical principle, not the belief. It is just the nature of reality. Epistemology talks about the nature of knowledge, or where the reality being comes from, and how we acquire them is talked into methodology. Next question. Which textbooks of psychology was authored by William Bundle? Fundamentals of Psychology, Foundations of Psychology, The Principle of Physiological Psychology, and Psychology of Emerging Science. So, the book given by William Wonder was The Principle of Physiological Psychology. We don't have to confuse in it. इस यहाँ पे confuse नहीं होना है. The Principle of Physiological Psychology. Physiological Psychology was given by Wonder, but the Principles of Psychology, the Principles or the Principle of Psychology was given by William James, right? So the answer is yes. And in the German, the principle of physiological psychology is also known as uh, Grundzüge der Physiologischen and Physiologische. William Wundt is recognized as the father of experimental psychology, primarily due to the fact that he has the foundational textbook of principle of physiological psychology. That's why in the principle of physiological psychology, he talks about all the experiment, and that's how he became the father of experimental psychology, because he wrote that book also. It's a major foundational book of that, which was the first of its kind of to define psychology as an empirical science. And the principle of psychology, as I told you, which was given by William James. Let's move to next question. Consider the following statements. Jnana Yoga talks about the spiritual knowledge. Sankhya Yoga talks about the role of the action of karma. Right? Jnana Yoga. So which was above all these two was correct. Jnana Yoga talks about the spiritual knowledge, or is only one, only two, both one and two, and none of these. Right? So which one of these is correct? Jnana Yoga talks about the spiritual knowledge. Sankhya Yoga talks about the role of action of karma. Does the Sankhya Yoga talks about this? No. Sankhya Yoga talks about your dualistic philosophy. This is Sankhya philosophy. This is dualism. Again, dualism. Jnana Yoga talks about spiritual knowledge, so the answer will be only one. Right. So Jnana Yoga is the path of knowledge or wisdom that emphasizes your self-inquiry, spiritual knowledge, and realization of the true self, the Atman, right? The supreme reality, the Brahman, and everything. While the Samkhya is a dualistic philosophy and it focuses on the Purush and Prakriti only. It is primarily your theoretical and metaphysical rather than the prescriptive. The yoga system that emphasizes karma or action is directly karma yoga. So in the statement, they said na, that talks about the role of action of karma. So the karma is talked into karma yoga. Next question. So this is the list and the layer in the jiva and the description, and you have to match it. So अनन्मय कोश, they are the पांच कोश ना, पांच कोश. So अनन्मय कोश, प्राणमय कोश, मनोमय कोश, विज्ञानमय कोश. This is from your पंचकोश, पंचकोशास. This is the part of your Upanishad. Anandmay kosha is basically the product of food, right? Pranamay kosha, pranmay kosha is life. Manomay kosha is your mental sheet, a mental sheet. Vijnanamay kosha is your cognitive sheet. So this will be your A is fourth. So there is only one option. 4231. So this will be D. So as you can see, Annamay kosha talks about the food. Anna means food, means the physical body or the sheath of the food. represent the gross and the tangible part of the body for need, which we need nourishment. The Pranamaya Kosha talked about the vital sheath, the Pran or the life energy. The Banamaya Kosha talks about the mind, and the Vijnanmaya Kosha talks about your wisdom and your intellectual and cognitive sheaths, intellectual and cognitive uh, knowledge. Next question. Who was the main figure in the initiation of logical empirism? Who is the initiation, like the figure who initiate the logical empirism? Mortis Skillick, Immanuel Kant, William Dilthey, and Thomas Kuhn. So the answer will be Maurice Skillick. So he did talk about that he's the main figure in logical empiricism, and he's the founding leader of Vienna Circle. Vienna Circle is what? Vienna Circle is what? Basically, is a kind of a group which leads to the development of logical positivism. So he talks about that, and he leads to the initiation and the he's the initial force to lead the foundation of logical empiricism. Next question. In the context of spiritual growth and development, the term transformation in Sufism refers to the term transformation in Sufism refers to the shift of the locus of consciousness, shift in emotional pattern, shift in sense of identity, and all of that. So we need to talk about in the Sufism. The question is asking about the Sufism religion, and the term transformation refers to here. So the answer will be all of the above. Yes. Because the shift of locus of control, emotional patterns, and sense of identity all comes as a part of your transformation, right? So, in the context of spiritual growth, when we talks about the transformation, the individual has a profound shift in the locus of consciousness that he will be not limited from limited consciousness and limited ego. They will be moved from that. The emotional pattern will change. The negative emotions replaced will be love and compassion. This is the word, na? The transformation is talking about all of it, and the sense of identity will shift. Means they will be go more deeper and centrally divine toward the God and the divine reality of the universe. Next question. Name two early pioneers in the area of academic psychology whose work had a great impact on the development of psychology in India. So basically, they are asking about who is the basic or the most important pioneers who developed psychology in India. So the options are Gopal Shekhar Bose or G.S. Bose, B.J. Tilak, Girinder Shekhar Bose, N.N. Sen Gupta, N.N. Sen Gupta, Gopal Shekhar Bose, N.N. Sen Gupta, B.G. Tilak. So what is the answer? The answer is N.N. Sen Gupta and Gopal Shekhar Bose. N.N. Sen Gupta is basically the father of your academic psychology in India. He established the Department of Psychology at University of Calcutta in 1916, and this is the major point, prominent work he did because he established a department, first department in India. So that's why he's also known as the pioneering in experimental psychology research and teaching in India as well. Right? And he talks about in his philosophy, he integrated all of that and make the Eastern perspective of psychology in India, right? And the Gopal Shekhar Bose was also very eminent and early academic contribution he did, but his major focus was promoting psychoanalysis. So his major focus was psychoanalysis, and he's a contemporary to Sen Gupta. Okay, so thank you for today for joining. I hope you like this session, and we will continue more questions in our next session. Thank you.